Name is Angela Fullwood, and I am the Title I Parent and Family Engagement Supervisor. And I'm so excited that you have joined us tonight. I want to give a few reminders to those of you who have joined us in other webinars. The chat room to the window and the window to the right. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to ask any questions. We will vet all the questions at the end of the presentation. And also at the end of the presentation, we're going to show you how to retrieve any other of the webinars if you've missed any and you want to see any of the other topics. We do record all of the webinars, so you're able to retrieve them at any time at your convenience. So we're excited about that. I'll show you how to get to it. And then I just want to let you know that we are going to have a fall catalog. It will start in September. We will launch the fall catalog in August in order to let you know all of the great topics. We're so excited. There's some tremendous topics that we're going to be, new courses that we're going to be offering. So we're excited about that. So without further ado, we're going to get to the presentation. Um, Today's presentation is about saying no to summer learning loss. So now that the school year has wrapped up and summer is here, it's just really important for us all to consider the topic that we're talking about tonight, and that's the summer slide and its effect on children. And because when the students return to school this fall, many of them, and perhaps some of those, especially in those historically disadvantaged student groups, they're going to be starting the academic year with achievement levels lower than where they are right now, where they were at the beginning of spring break. So tonight we're going to review what is known about the summer loss and hopefully offer great suggestions for any parent on this line looking to combat the problem. So let's begin. All right, so what is the summer slide? The summer slide is also known as summer reading, summer learning loss, and it describes this phenomenon in the summer in which students lose some of their academic learning from school year during the summer vacation. And summer slide has been repeatedly proven in research in which students score lower on achievement tests directly after the summer. And so, on average, what happens is students' achievement scores decline by around 1 or 2 months of school, um, according to David Quinn and Morgan Pollenkoff, who are assistant professors at the University of Southern California. And if we know this research shows this, then why do we really have a summer break? So let's do some history. All right, so in the early years of formal schooling in America, the school calendars were designed to fit, next slide, were designed to fit the needs of each particular community. Some communities had long summer breaks that released children from school in the spring to help with planting and in the fall to help with the harvest. And while urban schools sometimes operated on 11-month or 12-month schedules. So by the 1990s, migration from the farm to the city and an increase in family mobility created a need to standardize the time children spent in school. So the present 9 or sometimes 10-month calendar emerged when 85% of Americans were involved in agriculture. and when climate control in school buildings was limited. So today, about 3% of Americans' livelihoods are tied to agricultural cycle, and air conditioning makes it possible for schools to provide comfortable learning environments year round. Nevertheless, our 9 to 10 month school year remains the standard. So let's talk about what happens to children during the summer. Um, with the understanding that children learn best when instruction is continuous, the long summer breaks the rhythm of instruction, and it leads to forgetting, and it requires a significant amount of review of materials when the students return to school in the fall. So, really, an early comprehensive review of literature summarized several findings regarding the summer loss. And the authors of this review concluded that number one, on average, students' achievement scores declined over the summer vacation by 1 month worth of school year's learning. Number two, the declines were sharper for math than for reading. And number three, the extent of loss was larger at the higher grade levels. Importantly, they also concluded that in addition to that, some income based reading gaps grew over the summer, given that middle class students tended to show improvement in reading skills, while the lower income students tended to experience loss. Um, so they did not find differential summer learning in math or by gender or by race in either subject. All right, so the average, as you can see in the next slide, the average school year gains, as you can see, the impact of summer slide is different. It's different across students and it's different across subjects. As seen in these gaps from this 2015 study, achievement losses tend to be greater, again, in math and in reading, and greater in older students, mostly in 6th to 8th grade, than in younger students than in 3rd to 5th grade. Again, we want to remember research has shown that learning loss is greater in students from low income families. So there's a book out called Summer Learning and Home Environment, and it proposes the Faucet Theory to explain that greater impact of summer slide of low income students. And it argues that the resource faucet is on for all students and is for turned off for students over the summer and stays on only for high income students who can afford those continued academic resources to facilitate that learning. So, in the next slide, according to that faucet theory, the resource faucet again is on. Um, Traditionally, what we've done as educators is we have relied on some conventional summer school programs to sort of combat that summer loss and that summer growth gap. But in 2000 and in 19 in 2000, Harris Cooper and his colleagues published a comprehensive meta-analysis of classroom-based summer programs, and the findings were a positive effect on average. They concluded that middle income students benefited more from those summer programs than the lower income students. And what they said was, okay, even though all the students attended this summer learning program, um, they speculated that because the programs were serving more advantaged students, they were higher quality, or because of the interactive effect between the programming and the home resources that were available to the students in the lower income bracket. So this result raised a concern that attempts to stem summer learning loss may actually exacerbate the summer gap growth if we don't, target those students. So next slide shows that it is clear that summertime can be a time of decline when it comes to learning, um, student learning. So, what can we do as parents to combat this decline. One thing we can do is we can encourage our children to read and we can visit libraries. So this is important. Studies show that continuing to read over the summer is one of the most effective ways of combating the summer slide. So check out that local library. As many libraries, they have so many summer reading programs that makes reading fun and also rewarding for kids. So I'm going to show you how to go to the website, show all the features that it has. All right. So whenever you go to visit the library, you just go to Hillsborough um, County Public Libraries, go to their website, and there you will have all of the information you need. So I talked about some of the summer programming that they have. So they have a summer reading challenges for students of all ages, and if you scroll down on the main page, you're able to see um, so you're able to see all of the summer reading programs that they have. And by students. So you just scroll down, they have upcoming features. But here's the main area that I want you to see right here. It's highlighted in green. I just highlighted in green events and classes. So I always like to go by age group because I had children in different age groups. My child, who was at the time 15, versus my 12-year-old versus my 7-year-old. And I wanted to attend to all of their needs. So, based on your child's age, you want to look at the activities or events they have. So, I'm just going to go to teens. And for those of you who like lists, some people like calendars, right here underneath, once you do teens, it's going to show all of the matching events. And so, where my 15-year-old was more into games and playing games, here are some activities: game zone. Um, if your child likes drawing, here's some. And they even have movie nights. All of the events are free. Some of them you may have to register for, but they'll let you know. But if you like to see the calendar view, you just click on the see calendar and you can see the view monthly. If you rather see it just by the week, if it's too overwhelming for you, and you just want to say, okay, I want to know what's going on tomorrow at the library. So tomorrow's Saturday. Here are all the events for teens, and you can even change the event by age group on this page as well. And then if you like lists, if you're a list person, there it is by list. All of the events for your team. So this is a great way to plan the teen's day or the child's day, and make sure you're visiting the library with things that they love to do. If there's science, you can put it in by subject. If they like writing, you can put it in that way. All of the events are done. You can do it by keyword also, and then by location. So I'm going to click on this universe of stories, because when you scroll down, this is the page that you go to. You can sign up for the reading challenges. They have the reading challenges for adults, and then they have the reading challenges for the students that are teenagers. Okay. They also have reading with the Rays. So, and all of these are connected with other entities in the community. So you really want to get them on board, because right now the reading challenge started June 1st. So we're about 6 days, or yeah, 6 days into it. All right. So that's for your library. And again, there are libraries all over the county. You just pick out the one that's closest, or you can go to any of them. Again, all of the activities are free. All right. So another way to prevent the summer slide is to direct the kids to read on their Myon account. So all of our students have my Myon accounts, and even if your student is not a student in Hillsborough County, they can get a Myon account. Myon is a um, student-centered, personalized literacy environment that gives students access to more than 6,000 enhanced digital books. So if you're not able to go to the library, the students can actually get a hold of the books virtually, kind of like what we're doing right now. The titles are dynamically matched to their interests. It's also matched to their grade levels. It's matched to their Lexile reading levels, and they combine a suite of close reading tools and embedded support. So it just fosters that student engagement and achievement piece. Um, you can also access, all of the free ebooks and invite students to read thousands of audiobooks over the summer. So this is another way to access the library, virtual library. Also on our website, if you're traveling, if traveling to, again, that brick and mortar library is not an option for your family, again, the virtual library. So on our school district's website, I'm going to show you how to get there. So you just go to www.sdhc.k12.fl.us, to our regular website, and then you're going to type in get there. All right, there we go. You're going to type in the search engine library media services. Go, and I'm going to click on departments, library media services. I'm just showing you how to get there from that page. In it shows summer, the 2019 summer reading. Now this is great because it's really tied to our schools and the lists that the middles and elementary and high schools have put out. Again, here's those virtual libraries that I spoke to on the last section. Um, those virtuals, again, if you're not able, you can go by elementary, middle, high school, and even teachers can check out some of the books in these virtual libraries. But let's say I have a student in middle school, so I'll go to there, and you can right here, download that middle school summer reading list brochure to get it for your child. And there it is. All of the recommended reading for over the summer for your sixth grader, for your seventh grader, for your eighth grader. If they're Star Trekking, take me to your reader. Here's some feature books and feature authors. And then our Myon books that, again, we talked about Myon. The students know how to log in. These are books that they could read on Myon. So, again, there's a plethora of great books there. Again, here are your feature authors. I want to go back one page and on this page so it can help you. And it just has everything you need right here on our web page for your children to access. Very, very great resource for our students and your child. So those are the main library and reading and library that your child can access. Again, visiting the library is the best thing. Again, those are free, and they have a plethora of activities going on, hands-on science as well. But since we know, like I said, with the gaps, that math gaps are greater than reading gaps, another option is to visit, would be giving your child practice in their specific deficit area. So you should have a should have gotten a report card, and you see some areas, or once they get their scores back from the assessments, or maybe you have already talked to the teachers and you know, ooh, really, my son Jacob needs to be working on this. Another place to go is to this web page, CPalms, and it's just a great plethora of information here. So think of this CPalms as your 21st century summer packet. Is as it is as if a teacher has given your child a packet of work to work on in their specific in area of need. So students can have online practice, immediate feedback, and can keep tabs on their progress thanks to technology like CPalms. So again, I'm going to go to the CPalms website and show you how to get there. You're just going to simply type in CPalms in your search engine on your computer, and get there. Okay, so you're going to type it in and you'll go right to this web page. Welcome to CPalms. And depending on what grade level, you're going to go to what resources. Here's the home page. I'm at the home page. There are courses in here, educator toolkits, a lot of resources. So based on your standards, all of these are um, standards based. So you can create your own account and go in if you'd like, or you can just do practice in. I'm going to go to first grade, and here's some of the standards that the students need. You'll understand all the standards. But they have instructional resources, including lesson plans if you want to do with your with your child. Okay, and they're all self-paced. They have trainings for you to help your child, because we all know some of us are struggling with knowing what the standards are. So again, um, this is like a summer, like your 24th century summer packet. Again, CPalms. CPalms is for not only students, not only parents, but it's for teachers. It continues to be this source for all students in all standards and all course description in the public schools in the entire state of Florida. And it just has a large collection of resources available for you free of charge. So visit the www.cpalms, as in palm tree, .org. Um, or you can go to the DOE website and type in CPalms. All right, so that's your summer packet. Another way, finally, another way to prevent the summer slide is really also providing some game-like supplemental learning resources. So there are a variety of online resources students can use to keep learning over the summer, and here are a few that I listed in this slide. And they're free educational websites. You have Time for Kids, which has like lots of articles and photos, videos geared for students on current new topics, on the environment, on entertainment, on sports, on health, and you can have those healthy discussions. And that's a K through 6 curriculum. You also have National Geographic for kids. They also have videos and games on animals, and again, that's a K through 6. Fun Brain, again, math. They have that math. They also have reading. They have online books and some learning games, and that's a K through 8 curriculum. Scholastic has some really unique educational learning activities, and that's actually pre-K through 12. So all of the students from pre-K to 12 can benefit from Scholastic. And then Again, that cool math for kids. I don't know if you've ever done it. It's just a great amusement park of math and more. And it's geared really toward your elementary schoolers, K through 6. But if you check out that website that I have listed right there, www.openculture.com, if you want to take a picture of that with your cell phone, that website is an awesome website. It has 200 more additional free kids educational resources. And on that website, it's just a collection and that provides a list of free educational resources, K through 12, um, and for you and your student. They have free videos, lessons, tutorials. They have mobile apps if your child has cell phones, they can download. They have audio books and ebooks, um, textbooks. They have really quality YouTube channel learning for your students, and some free foreign language lessons. They have some test prep materials and free web resources. They have all the academic subject areas like literature, history, science, and com- um, computation. All right, so I've talked a lot about online resources, the brick and mortar library, and some people just may not have access to that. So, for those of you who are wondering, while summer vacation is enjoyable, it should not be an excuse for students to turn off their brains. And certain species of sharks, they must keep swimming in order to breathe. So, two must students, we have to keep learning and thinking in order to keep um, our students have to keep learning and thinking in order to keep their brains active. That's the point of that summer loss. They have to be able to continue to not necessarily do just work and packets of work, but to avoid that summer learning loss, they need to, if they can't attend a good summer program, if they're not able to access books or things online or practice with a math tutor, some of the most great and wonderful thinking activities actually come from you, the parent, me, the parent. So again, so far I've given you mostly online and virtual activities for your children to do, but I've not yet talked about activities that we can do not only to help our children think and grow their brain dendrites, but to help our families bond. So again, our families are busy. Today, families were so busy. Everyone is on different schedules, and between work and taking care of the kids, sometimes you may feel that you don't have the time or energy to just sit down and do these lessons or monitor these lessons with your kids or even sit down and have a family dinner. But if you think about it, there are really, really great benefits to sitting down just to have dinner as a family, and there are ways to make this process easier. um, what I'm about to talk about doesn't have to be done at a dinner table, but it can be done in the car. It can be done while you're cooking, while you're at the grocery store, while you're just having simple conversations. These simple activities are going to help your children think and grow. And questioning is that main um, thing that helps our children. So, um, in 1956, Benjamin Bloom, he headed up a group of educational psychologists who developed these classifications of levels of intelligence for behavior that's important in learning. And what he did was he created this, what we call taxonomy, for categorizing the level of abstraction of questions that commonly occur in educational settings. So his intent was really to express the different kinds of thinking that our kids have in a real organized and hierarchical manner. So anyone who majored in education at that time, they were required to write learning objectives in their classroom in each of these categories. So he identified 6 levels within that cognitive domain, from simple recall or recognition of just simple facts as one of the lowest levels through that increasingly more complex and abstract mental levels to the highest order, which is classified as up there evaluation. All right. So the verbiage again has been revised. I'll talk about both um, in this, but the intent really remains the same. So if you start at the bottom in the blue area, remembering the new name is knowledge. So it's a recall of information, recognizing, listening, describing, and retrieving, naming, finding. It's just your memorization. So I memorize the ABCs, or I memorize the one, two, threes. I memorize a spelling list. That's simple. That's just remembering. Then you move up the hierarchy, understanding, which is the comprehension. We always talk about, oh, can our children read with comprehension? Well, that's just understanding information that they've read, and not only understanding it, but being able to explain those ideas or concepts that they read about, being able to interpret it, or being able to paraphrase it or explain it, and identifying information and summarizing, answering those questions after they have read a story. That's the second level. The next level up, applying, which we call application, is carrying out or using or executing, using what they have previously learned, that information, into new situations where they're solving problems. So think about your math word problems, or reading charts, or predicting answers. The next level up, analyzing, analysis. This is where your children are starting to see patterns. They're breaking information into parts. They're exploring understanding and relationships. They're starting to organize and deconstruct. They're interrogating some findings, and they're categorizing, like they're doing some comparing and contrasting, maybe some characters in the story. Maybe they're comparing maybe two political figures. Maybe they're comparing two books, or a book and a movie. So that's analysis. Then the next level up is evaluation, evaluating. That's actually justifying a decision or a course of action. They're checking, they're hypothesizing, they're critiquing, they're experimenting, they're judging. They're comparing and discriminating between ideas. Again, that compare and contrast, but they're judging the value of information. So when you think of thesis papers and things like that, research papers and debate teams, and then finally creating or synthesis, is we call it now. This is actually producing. This is generating new ideas based off of what they learn. So they're coming up using those old ideas that they learned about, and just really creating new ones. They're designing things, they're constructing things, they're planning, they're producing, they're inventing. They're taking a collection of data and forming these ideas. Again, when we were in school, I don't know if we have millennials on the webinar, but I'm not a millennial. But when I was in school, most of us experienced the first two or three in elementary and middle school. And furthermore, most of us didn't really even experience the last two probably until college. So higher order thinking is what our children are mainly having to do now in school. And so the activities that I'm going to talk about now are going to really help you at home with doing some of these activities without having to take them to the library, without having them access any of those virtual tools. These are things, these are conversations that you are going to be having with your children. So I know that was a lot, but you needed to hear why I'm going there. Okay, so this is the reasoning behind it. Okay, on the next slide, not able to get to the next slide. So the next slide, thinking really involves problem solving, reasoning, and decision making. So lower order thinking requires memory again and recall of facts only. And higher order thinking requires deeper recall and reasoning skills. Most adults today, again, when we went to school, we were asked those lower order questions, like, what is a noun? Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? Those were one word answers. Okay, so I know, what is a noun? A person, place, thing, or idea. Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? In which direction does the sun rise? So it's those one word answers. But if you want to grow your child's brain, and let's talk about that now. I'm not really a science teacher, but I just know a little bit about the brain. Most children and teenagers are still using the back part of their brain, which is where all the reaction takes place. The ability to think critically, though, comes from the front of our brain, which generally doesn't fully develop until the end of high school, and sometimes well into their 20s. So that answers a lot of questions for us as parents as to our children's behaviors, our children's reactions, their thoughts, and their processes. Furthermore, for those students who have, simple learning disability, maybe they're ADHD, maybe they're SLD, etc., it takes a bit longer for those frontal lobes of the brain to develop. So, because this type of thinking, higher order thinking, requires the front part of the brain, studies done on students found that middle school students still use the back part of their brain. So that's why it explains um, why sometimes they're just thinking with their hormones, and it explains why your 3-year-old asks why, no matter how many times you answer their question. The brain connections are made through experiences, listening and reading and doing. The front part of the brain, for the front part of the brain to work, we need to inundate our children with questions that require higher order thinking. Okay? So those are simple tools that we can do at home without going on websites. So how can we help our children develop critical, creative thinking and problem solving skills? It's through provoking questions, thought provoking questions. Okay? We have to ask our children and help them develop their own questions, and we can stretch their thinking. So I call them fat questions. Yes, the word fat when you eat a lot. Fat questions that provide deep thinking. So an example of a fat question would be, why do schools close in the summer? It does not have a yes or no answer. It does not require a reading. It makes the child think. Okay, I did give you some background as to why schools close in the summer, but students don't know that it's because of agricultural reasons. But let them think. Um, you can ask, um, again, they're low consensus questions. There's no single right answer. Maybe an example of this would, should teachers give homework and why? Again, meaningful questions that we don't necessarily know the answers to. Here's one: do giraffes always have long necks? And why do giraffes? Did they? Those thought-provoking questions. So here's some non-examples. I'm going to go through the non-examples. What is a noun? We talked about that one. How can you change this simple what is a noun to a good example? You can say, well, how can you construct a sentence if you couldn't use a noun? That takes thought. I can't even answer that question. Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? Remember, that is a yes or a right or wrong answer. You have answers to it. How does the Declaration of Independence impact our lives today and the decisions we make? That's a thought-provoking question. It gives your child time to think, time to construct their answer, and then verbalize their thoughts or their opinion about it. Here's one. What is the present population of the Earth? All right. Instead of that, how has the Earth's population changed from the 1900s to the 2000s and why? And then, when was the Civil Rights Act signed into law? Instead of that's a year, you know the answer to that. How did the Civil Rights Act change people's lives? So those are questions. Again, on the right, those questions require your child to think. Thought-provoking question. Here's another one. What is a hypothesis? What is the difference between a guess and a hypothesis? So, thought-provoking questions. They require more than a yes or no. They have no one correct answer, and they provide your child an invitation to think. And that's what you want to do. Again, if you can't make it to that library, if you don't want them downloading and being on those virtual apps and on their cell phones constantly, let's get some questioning. Let's talk to our babies. Encourage questioning. That's what we're going to do. But we're not going to be questioning them in a way that they think that they're being interrogated. You're just going to ask them casually rather than quizzing them. Okay? So here's some home examples. I gave you school examples of kinds of questions that we used to ask when I was a student in school and the way they formulate their questions now in school. But we're not at school, you're at home, and so here's some home examples of questions that you can ask your child. What qualities do you look for in a friend? Just casual conversation while you're cooking your dinner. What could happen if you put those pictures on Facebook? I know that many times that I saw pictures on Facebook, it was just like, take those pictures down. Those pictures, I'm telling them the reason why. But if I had my children think, okay, if you posted that, what could happen? Uh, it'll be a little different. What would you predict will happen if you show up late for practice? So if your child is involved in any sports, ask them, what do you predict will happen if you showed up late for practice or if you showed up late for the game? So it also helps to get you to know your child and all of their values. How might you prioritize your list of tasks? Sometimes our children are, I know my child was ADHD and, I had to help them prioritize, but I didn't ask these thought provoking questions. I pretty much did it for them. And we want to get away from that because I'm not helping her grow her frontal lobe that she needs to help succeed. Um, so really, it's imperative and helpful if you ask use these questioning techniques. I do have, and I did not put it in here, but I'm able to, if you want to, any of the participants, put your email address in the chat room. I could email you some of Bloom's. He created these 36 types of questioning techniques, and that card was really designed to help teachers um, formulate their questions when they're asking students in school based on what they've learned. But it's very helpful for you as a mom or dad or a family member. It's really helpful for you too. So if you would like it, I'm able to send that to you. Um, Also, riddles are a great way to encourage some of those critical thinking skills. Here's another one. What music category does this song belong to and why? So again, generating questions, that question category that you have with your you have these conversations with your child. Um, you can make analogies. It's going to show you like different ways if you're doing similarities. So, and it's on a wide spectrum. So it goes for your kindergartner all the way up to your high schooler. Here's one. What similarities do gangs and families have? That's some analogies, some similes and metaphors. Or you can do some drawing conclusions. What would happen if a student hit another student in school? Sometimes you can use examples that have happened in school or stories that your child shares with you when they come home, and then start questioning them about that. That question category card will help you generate questions with um, with your child. They have those great conversations. So just to kind of brainstorm, brainstorm some questions, I want to give you a few more. What will happen if you don't study for a test? How would you describe a bully? What would you do if you saw a fight? What are the causes of not enough sleep? How would you describe hip hop music? And how could you organize your room? Again, you're not doing all of these the same day. These are discussions. You might want to do one when you're in the grocery store. Something might happen. Or again at dinner, just have that conversation. Um, if you're coming up on a test, then that's a good way of talking through that. Um, so these are just ideas of things that you can have with those discussions. Um, and if you ever get stumped with questions to ask your child, always, and you just can't think of a way to ask questions, always go to the why. Always go to the why. Children are always asking why. So think about it when your child was a toddler. They constantly asked questions. They were never satisfied with your answer. What did they always ask when you answered them? If you said, They ask you a question and you said no, they always ask what? Why? They always ask why. That seemed to be the natural way for children, as if their brains knew they needed to be stimulated. So that's what it does. That why question stimulates and motivates a child's thinking. It also arouses curiosity. It triggers those higher order thinking. It triggers it. So again, why? Ask silly questions. Why is the grass green? I don't know why the grass is green, but it's going to cause them to think, and they're going to come up with an answer based on some of the science that they learn in school. Why is a rainbow multicolored? We don't know, but the children can always come up. And again, we're not going to say no. That's not why the rainbow is multicolored. No, we're not going to do that. We're just going to listen to their answer and have a great fun discussion with it. Um, so we have to just know that even though when they were toddlers they asked why, as they get older we sometimes forget that they still need that stimulation, no matter what. So I'm going to also send you to um, the website for you um, and for your children to help you. There are many activities that you can do to increase your child's thinking skills. Again, these are conversation starters, riddles. They provide excellent intellectual exercises. They are mysteries that provoke thinking. They call for a solution or answer that requires some serious reflection. Also, you can go out and buy a journal and do questions of the week. So you can create a notebook if you don't want to go buy a journal. You can create a notebook and write a question every week to the child based on the different types of techniques we discuss, and just have your child answer the question in the journal. A question exchange, maybe allow your child to come up with questions for you to answer, and y'all work together, and that'll be fun. If you get the newspaper, you can use charts and graphs and tables to help them interpret the information. Like, show me what this means. Maybe you can say, "Oh, I don't understand this. Help me out." And then, oh my goodness, what if questions are like amazing because they present a situation and ask, what if you did da da da, or what if you do, what would you do? What do you think would happen if this happened? So those are um, those are great tools. And then the last one I gave you on this list is those dinner dilemmas. Go to that website and they'll give you some great dinner conversation starters. So, um, what activities are best for your summer learner? Well, whether your child loves to read, whether they love to play outside or get techie, there are many fun but effective ways to promote your child's learning over the break. And since the summer is here, before you know it's going to be over, this is a great time to start planning now what activities you're going to start doing to avoid that summer learning loss. And when that last, you know, there are two schools of thought that I want you to listen to. Students, they're thinking of sleeping in, okay, because summer's here, and their thought is, oh, I don't have to get up and go to school. I've been getting up all year. 5 o'clock in the morning to get to school. They're thinking about sleeping in and long. They're thinking of lazy days at the pool, and we're thinking, all right, now how are we going to stop this summer learning loss? So the quest for us is really how to merge these two summertime plans of action. We don't want to be like this on the right. Don't make them do that schoolwork during the summer break. That's too much. But we don't want them to just be laying around lazy and playing. So there has to be those plans of action, okay? So 15 to 30 minutes a day is all it takes. And hopefully the quick tips that I've given you are going to be able to help you um, break that summer slide and have your child going back in the fall right where they left off or even further. So that is the goal. Are there any questions? right, so I see, oh, we see someone is typing. Oh, you're welcome. I really do appreciate you being on tonight. And I hope that your children are so ready. Again, if you want me to send you that card, that questioning card, those questioning card category cards, just let me know. You can go ahead and type your email address and I will send it to you so that you'll have it. And with that, I do want to, oh, thank you so much. We'll get that to you. If you want to share this webinar or any of the other webinars that we have, I'm going to show you how to get there. And that'll be the last area that we go to. All right, so on our regular web page, you're going to go to for the media center for library services. You'll just go to families, your wonderful family, and go to Title I Parent and Family Engagement. And all of the spring catalog, everything is right here for you. And you just go to webinars. You can click here or here, either one. Either way, you can get to the webinars. And you can see more videos. We do have some videos. It's going to take you straight to our YouTube page. I'd like for you to like it, join it, whatever it's called. I'm not a millennial, so I don't know the term. But all of the webinars that we've done, including this one, will probably be up Monday afternoon. They're right here on this page. So you could access them on our web page. Again, you can either go here or here. Go to the Virtual Parent Academy, just click on that, and then here you can view either the full catalog or view the webinars. Click on View the Webinars. And there we are, back to our YouTube page, and the list of wonderful webinars are here for you. So, again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure presenting to you all tonight, and I hope you all have a great summer with your children. Remember, don't question them like they're in school. Just have fun with it. Have that great conversation. Oh, we're waiting. Oh, okay. You're welcome, Elaine. Y'all have a great evening. Take care. Bye bye.